Revealed, how a poor maid's incredible act transformed the lives of two millionaire twins forever. Clara wiped the polished marble floor of the Winslow mansion, her thoughts swirling like the dust motes in the afternoon light. Each stroke of her mop felt like a reminder of her struggles, her mother's dwindling health, the unpaid bills edging closer. She moved methodically, but it was hardly enough. The beautiful art on the walls felt taunting, depicting lives of stability she would never know. Would her sacrifices ever translate into something more than survival? Sweat trickled down her brow, matching her rising anxiety. She was in Presidio Heights, an upscale neighborhood filled with riches beyond her imagination, yet here she was, barely scraping by. As she bent down to pick up a fallen feather duster, her heart ached with the weight of her responsibilities. Would she ever find a moment to breathe? Life as a maid forced her into an existence bathed in uncertainty. She feared every phone call regarding her mother's health. What if the day came when she couldn't afford the medicine? Her resolve was wavering. What if all her hard work was for naught? "Clara, you're needed upstairs," shouted a voice from the second floor, interrupting her spiraling thoughts. It was Jake, one of the twins. She frowned. His sharp tone indicated tension. The twins had descended into bitter arguments lately, their previous camaraderie replaced by an almost palpable coldness as they clashed over their ailing father's dwindling fortunes. The mansion felt heavy with their discord, the air thickened with their fraught conversations echoing down the luxurious hallways. Still, Clara found solace in her interactions with Mr. Winslow, their father, who often shared stories of their glory days with her. She recalled each laugh and the feeling of his warm smile, cherishing these sacred moments. But even those snippets of joy began to fade as Mr. Winslow fell ill, each day marked by uncertainty. Clara felt torn, wishing to comfort him while standing uncomfortably on the fringes of his family's crises. How could she mend the fragmented pieces of their lives when her own felt so shattered? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The tension between Jake and Tyler erupted into full-blown shouting matches, and Clara felt herself shrinking into the corners of the room, unable to mediate. Each throaty argument echoed in her chest like an unwelcome drumbeat. Could she do something to repair their relationship? Why did they have to lash out at each other just when their father needed them the most? It felt immeasurably unjust. Her hands trembled as she scrubbed harder, battling the inner turmoil rising like an uncontrollable tide. With each unending day of relentless work and broken family ties, despair threatened to consume her. Then it happened. The day Clara discovered a hidden stash of letters, explosive revelations about the twins' hidden past, letters from their father that whispered promises of love and unity. Her pulse quickened as she unfolded the crinkled pages, spilling over with secrets and truths that could reshape everything. As she read, determination coiled within her. She knew she could hold the key to reconciliation. The weight of their legacy hardened in her hands as she prepared to intervene, to bring them the truth that could heal or fracture them further. Her heart raced, a storm of emotions crashing against the shores of her fear. Would they choose to grapple with their shared history, or would her efforts prove futile, lost amidst their resentments? Clara stood poised at the epicenter of their chaos, aware that she could be the catalyst, yet wondering if she had the strength to light the way forward. Clara stood in front of the mirror in her small, dimly lit room, the letters clutched tightly in her hands. Her reflection stared back, revealing the exhaustion etched on her face, but there was also a flicker of tenacity in her eyes. She took a deep breath, reminding herself of the power of those words she had just discovered. They held the potential to bridge the chasm between the twins and perhaps even illuminate her own path. What if this act of courage could catalyze her own transformation? Could she rise above the confines of her position, using the knowledge she now possessed? The thought ignited something deep within her, an ember of ambition that she had long suppressed. Unbeknownst to Jake and Tyler, Clara was not just a maid, she was a pivotal player in a family drama spiraling out of control. Determination pushed her to her feet as she paced the room, rehearsing her approach. How would she present the letters? Perhaps spurring their anger would do more harm than good. She considered the twins' recent fights raw emotion fueled by fear and resentment. They had been blind to the real foundation of their bond. This insight was her weapon, but how could she wield it without dismantling everything? With newfound clarity, Clara made her way downstairs. The air felt charged, as though expectations were hanging like ominous clouds. She reached the living room, where Jake and Tyler sat, their expressions twisted in fatigue and defiance. They paused as she entered, the tension palpable. "Clara," Jake started, his voice tight. "We don't have time for wait," Clara interrupted, her heart racing. It took all her courage not to shrink into herself. She stepped forward, gripping the letters tightly. "I found something. Something about your dad, and you." The twins exchanged startled glances, their argument forgotten. Clara could see the flicker of curiosity beneath their hardened exteriors. She had their attention. "What kind of something?" Tyler asked, his skepticism weaving through his hesitation. Pulling in a steadying breath, she began to unfold her revelations, sharing the words penned by their father, tales of love and aspirations for unity that resonated across the decades. The twins listened, their expressions shifting from doubt to intrigue. Clara's voice strengthened, riding the tide of revealing their past as the letters unfolded the humanity of their father. Each story she recounted clawed at the bitterness that clouded their hearts, challenging them to rethink the narrative they had clung to. Moments turned into minutes as she wove together the fabric of mutual understanding, the fragile tapestry of family history. Slowly, Clara could see the light flickering from beneath their guarded facades. With each discovery, they were at once vulnerable and enlightened, grappling with the shared essence of their legacy, but just as hope began to seed, the shadows returned as Jake's skepticism ignited. "And what do you expect us to do with this information? Just forget everything that has happened?" The question burned with anger, but Clara could also sense despair layering it. The stakes were rising. "No," she steadied herself, sensing her resolve grow stronger. "You don't have to forget anything. You can choose to confront these shadows together." Silence fell. Clara's heart beat louder than ever as she witnessed the twins wrestle with their choices. She had caught their attention, but to what end? Jake's gaze hardened, yet there was a flicker of uncertainty. "We can't just turn the page like nothing happened. Then find a way to write a new chapter together," Clara urged, the letters still trembling in her hands, metaphorically echoing the struggle for connection. Their expressions revealed that the wheels were turning, a collision of anger, pain, but also the hope for healing. Clara understood that this moment was pregnant with potential, yet her own fate felt suspended on a thread. Would the twins embrace their shared history and redefine their relationship? Or would this moment fracture the small chance she had ignited? Clara tightened her grip on the letters, her resolve firming. The struggle was immense, but she was committed to being the catalyst of change, ready to confront whatever came next. As she stood there, waiting for their response, she felt that the moment had come to face the ramifications of her choice, one that could either unite them or deepen the fissures. The weight of uncertainty loomed over her, but she was prepared. What would her next move be? The silence danced just before her, leaving a question lingering. Were they ready to follow her lead into the unknown? As Clara stood frozen in the tense silence, she began to feel the weight of the moment pressing heavily on her shoulders. The letters felt more like anchors than guides, heavy with unspoken truths that had the power to lift the twins or drown them in resentment. She had opened a door, but would they step through it or slam it shut? Anxiety bubbled within her. This was not just a moment of confrontation for Jake and Tyler, it was her own trial by fire. Would they return to their fighting ways, or could she help them unearth a common ground? She struggled against the instinct to retreat, reminding herself that she had already taken a significant step. Clara's always careful demeanor had prepared her for mundane interactions, but now she found herself on a precipice, poised between two worlds, her old life of service and a new chapter as someone who could ignite change. Jake's hardened expression softened momentarily, eyes narrowing as he wrestled internally. Tyler, too, was fraying at the edges of defiance. She could see the gears of their minds turning, uncertainties bubbling to the surface. Her heart pounded as she realized how crucial this was not only for them, but for her own transformation. The maid who had never been allowed to engage in the family drama suddenly found herself as an essential participant. "Maybe you're right," Jake finally said, his voice steadying as acknowledgement layered through his aggression. "But how make sense of everything? This is a mess." Clara took a deep breath, her confidence swelling. "You start by being willing to feel that mess. It's okay to acknowledge the anger and the hurt. Only then can you untangle it. Those letters show you that your father wanted you to understand love, but life has complicated that. It's no easy task, but you're not alone in this." Their eyes darted to each other, as if they were seeking answers in the other's gaze. In that moment, she understood that her words had struck a nerve. She wasn't just the maid now, but a guide at a critical junction in their lives. "What if we don't know how?" Tyler spoke quietly, his vulnerability contrasting sharply against Jake's earlier defiance. "We learn," she replied, the conviction in her voice growing stronger. "You'll have each other, and I can help. Your father left you a legacy to build upon, a reminder that family could mean something more than clashing egos. We can reshape how you see each other." She felt the tide shifting, a breath of potential beginning to emerge in the cramped living room. But she was conscious of the fine line she walked. What if they recoiled from such a radical idea? What if her sincerity only ignited further conflict? Clara's thoughts raced as the silence stretched again, layered now with contemplation. This moment gave birth to the realization this wasn't merely about healing their rift, it was also about asserting her agency in a life that had often minimized her. There was strength in her vulnerability, and clarity in her motivations. "What do we even know about that legacy?" Jake finally asked, skepticism still clinging to him, though now tinged with curiosity. Clara sensed her next move was critical. "It's time we explore these letters together as a family. You need to understand not just your father's hopes, but your own capacity for empathy." "I found something else," she continued, a spark igniting inside her. "Aside from those letters, your father kept journals. They're scattered around the house, insights, regrets, wishes. If you're willing, we could discover this together." The mere suggestion hung in the air, heavy with uncharted territory. Their expressions shifted from uncertainty to tentative intrigue. She was facing raw resistance, but also the possibility of something greater. Would they trust her enough to embark on this exploration? Clara's heart raced with both trepidation and excitement. It was a leap into the unknown for all of them, but they were standing at the forks of their own narratives, ready to confront demons together. As she looked at Jake and Tyler, she felt the charge of potential electrifying the room. Would they take that leap and discover the buried truths of their family's past? Or would they turn back, unwilling to confront the shadows that had long haunted their history? Clara understood they were on the brink of a defining moment, both for the twins and for herself. And as uncertainty loomed ahead, one question anchored her resolve: were they ready to rewrite their story, together? The air hung thick with anticipation as Jake mulled over Clara's proposal. The shift in the twins' energy was palpable. Her invitation to confront their past had ignited a spark of curiosity, but it was clear they both carried the weight of trepidation. Clara felt the tension in her chest easing just a bit, emboldened by their subtle change, yet she knew they were far from embracing the challenge ahead. "Together, huh?" Jake finally replied, a hint of disbelief in his tone. "You really think we can just open up this can of worms without making things worse?" "It's not about avoiding pain, it's about understanding it," Clara said, her voice steady. "Your father's journals can help illuminate what went wrong, but more importantly, they can guide you toward what can go right." Tyler shifted in his seat, wrestling with his emotions. "What if we dig into it and end up discovering things we can't unsee? Lies, misrepresentations? I'm not sure I'm ready for that." Clara met his gaze, feeling an unshakable resoluteness emerging from within. The truth, Tyler, no matter how painful, can serve as a foundation. Without facing it, you'll remain anchored in resentment and conflict. Knowledge is a tool that can empower you to shape your own futures. You cannot build upon nothing. She watched as the twins exchanged uncertain glances, a silent conversation passing between them. Her heart raced, sensing they were on the cusp of a breakthrough, but she was also acutely aware of the fear lurking beneath their dismissive facades. Would they take her hand and journey down this path, or would they retreat once again into the safety of their bitter discord? "I think," Jake finally said, his voice wavering, "we've spent too long dodging this. Maybe it's time to face it straight on if you're willing to guide us." Clara inhaled deeply, some of her anxiety dissipating as validation coursed through her. "Then let us start with the letters and the journals. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but remember, that discomfort can lead to growth." Tyler appeared to consider her words, though his brow was still furrowed with uncertainty. "And how do we even begin?" "Let us set a time to review them together," Clara proposed. "We can go room by room, tracking down the journals. They'll serve as a timeline of your father's thoughts and feelings. If we pace ourselves, we can help each other through the tougher revelations." The evening light slanted through the window, casting long shadows across the floor as the twins nodded reluctantly. Clara felt a surge of affirmation, they were willing to engage. With that commitment came a rush of ownership over her own growth. She was not just an observer, she was a navigator. In the days leading up to their first meeting, Clara immersed herself in the memories of her own upbringing. Each recollection aided in refining her perspective, her background had forged resilience she now needed to share. Their struggles, although different in nature and scale, mirrored the fractures she had once faced in her own life. The determination to confront the past was universal. Clara arrived at the mansion that day feeling lighter yet anxious. The echoes of her former self, the maid with no voice, seemed to amplify with each step she took to the twins' quarters. They needed her, and she could feel her inner strength calling. Jake and Tyler were waiting for her, the tension in the room mixing with an undercurrent of possibility. As they sat down around the polished table, journals and letters spread before them like maps of a treacherous landscape. "We're really doing this," Tyler murmured, his gaze flicking over the pages. "Yes," Clara confirmed, her voice unwavering. "But remember, discoveries won't just fall in your lap. You'll have to be brave and willing to dig." She watched as their expressions shifted, excitement battling against fear. Clara knew that revelations lay in wait, ready to reshape their lives. "Are we ready to uncover what's been hidden for so long?" she asked, a subtle challenge hanging in the air between them. As they exchanged glances, a silent pact was formed. But deep down, Clara sensed the weight of impending revelations. Would they find words of hope or despair? The journey ahead held the potential to transform everything. The question lingered long after, pressing against the walls of the room. Were they truly ready to face their father's legacy and, ultimately, themselves? Clara's stomach knotted with urgency as she gazed at the journals before her, each bound volume representing fragments of a fragmented family. The air was dense, imbued with the mingling sense of paper and uncertainty, a fitting context for the emotions swirling around the table. She could sense the twins' hesitations and knew they were standing on the brink of something monumental. "Let us begin with this one," she said, lifting the first journal, weathered and marked by time. She opened it slowly, revealing her father's meticulous script. As she read, she felt the weight of his words, a mixture of ambition, despair, and the struggle to connect. With every line, Clara understood more about the man the twins had lost, yet she sensed their unease permeating the atmosphere. "What is he talking about here?" Tyler asked, furrowing his brow as he leaned closer. Clara could see the desire for clarity battling within him. She paused, considering her response. "He's reflecting on his failures, but also on the moments that brought him joy. It's a complex picture," she said carefully. "Don't just hear the words. Feel them, too. This is part of understanding your father's legacy." But what if he's just rationalizing his mistakes? Jake countered, his voice tinged with skepticism. How do we know we can trust any of this? Clara felt a pang of frustration, unable to comprehend why Jake was clinging to despair when hope was only a whispered word away. Trust is built over time, and it takes courage to embrace it, she replied, meeting his gaze with intensity. Your father was deeply flawed, but recognizing that may also allow you to see where he tried to make things right. Perhaps that's possible for you, too. Jake hesitated, biting his lip. Clara could see the inner conflict etched in the harsh lines of his face. He was torn between the pain of the past and the thirst for resolution. Tyler, on the other hand, was deep in thought, his eyes glossed over the yellowed pages as he sought a connection to the words. Can we take a break? Tyler finally asked, his voice a mix of fatigue and determination. I need to process this. Clara nodded, grateful for the levity of that moment. They stepped outside, allowing the fresh air to cleanse the heavy emotions clinging to them. She could see how the shadows of the mansion loomed behind them, a reminder of their struggles. One step into the garden turned their conversation toward their childhood. You know, I used to watch you both through the window, Clara remarked, a touch of nostalgia softening her voice. You would laugh, play, and I would long for those moments, knowing I'd never be part of them. Jake's expression softened, the realization of their shared isolation kindling an ember of connection. We never paid attention, did we? He said, sounding almost remorseful. It was like we lived in parallel worlds. Maybe now those worlds can collide, Clara suggested, her heart thumping with tentative hope. Returning to the table, she noticed Jake's glare returning just as fiercely as before, as if clutching indignation as a shield. Okay, so what's next? He asked brusquely, challenging Clara even with his tone. Are we meant to dig through more of this and somehow come out better for it? Next, Clara replied calmly, is opening your eyes to the contradictions in your lives, understanding the power dynamics that shaped your family, and the choices that, if understood, can illuminate your future. As their eyes fell back onto the pages, each member of the trio was consumed by the weight of words, staring intently at an unfinished story. Clara felt the contraction of her heart. This was not just about their father, but the legacy they would inherit. Jake's voice cut through her thoughts, barely above a whisper. Maybe we can find a way to forgive. But you have to promise us that we won't get lost in this. Clara nodded, but a deep anxiety crept in. Could she guide them through a revelation that would free them rather than ensnare them in a new cycle of pain? As night began to fall, the hastily arranged light illuminated their faces, revealing shadows. Clara sensed a reckoning on the horizon, feelings threatening to break through. Would they buckle under the pressure, or could they emerge transformed? While unraveling their family's past, Clara couldn't help but wonder what secrets might lie deeper, hidden yet shimmering just beneath the surface. Some truths could align them or tear them apart. How far were they willing to delve into the darkness? The weight of the question lingered in the air, alive and vibrant. Were they ready for the next chapter of their lives, even if it came at a cost? Clara's pulse quickened as she prepared to delve deeper. This was not merely an exploration of dusty old journals, it was uncharted territory, an expedition into the hearts of the twins and herself. She placed her palms flat against the table, grounding herself as she sensed the tension radiating from Jake and Tyler. Each of them was an unresolved puzzle, but she felt a flicker of determination ignite in the depths of her being. Let us proceed with the next volume, Clara encouraged, mustering a calm she barely felt. The journal's spine cracked when she opened it, much like the emotional barriers she was trying to help the twins dismantle. They peered over her shoulder, their faces painted with curiosity mingled with trepidation. This volume unfolded layers of her father's thoughts about ambition and loneliness. Listen to this, she read aloud, I often wonder if my pursuit of success cost me the love of my family. The confession hung in the air, visceral and raw. Is this a justification or a realization? Tyler asked. His voice seemed softer, more thoughtful, as if the wind had swept away some of his previous resentment. Clara noted the shift and seized the moment. It's both, she said pointedly. Knowing where he erred does not absolve him but rather shows us how mistakes can haunt us. Each choice shapes who we become. Her heart raced with the weight of her words, considering how much this pertained to her own journey. Maybe he's asking us to reflect on our choices too, Tyler murmured, opening the door to vulnerability. Jake pursed his lips, discarding optimism with an edge of skepticism. But what if we're just repeating his mistakes? If his ambitions tore the family apart, is that what we're destined to inherit? Clara felt frustration bubbling beneath her skin, but she checked herself. The past can teach us lessons, or we can let it suffocate us. It doesn't have to be a curse if you learn from it. She was eager to push back against Jake's tendency to retreat into despair, sensing his potential yearning to break free. Silence enveloped them, the atmosphere thick with unacknowledged feelings. Clara could almost see the cogs turning in their minds, wrestling with questions and fears. Let's take a look at the next entry, she urged, flipping the page intentionally. Remember, we're not just here to dredge up pain. We're here to understand what it means to move forward. As Clara read the next part, her voice trembled slightly. Despite my failures, I discovered that love requires effort. There is such beauty in connection, and every moment spent together is an opportunity to grow. There was silence as the twins absorbed her father's words. They were at a crucial juncture now, one that could define their path. Clara noticed Tyler watching her closely, a flicker of recognition dawning in his expression. Maybe, he began slowly, Dad is saying we should work to create our own connections. Maybe it's worth giving each other a chance. I still don't trust the idea that we can just forgive and forget, Jake interjected, frustration leaking through. How do we know we won't just end up heartbroken again? By actively choosing connection over isolation, Clara asserted, pushing against Jake's doubts with resolve. It's not about ignoring the past but transforming how you approach the present. The air around them pulsated with unresolved tensions, and Clara could see shadows of doubt etched into Jake's features. He was struggling between wanting to break free from his father's legacy and the fear of falling into despair. Clara could feel uncertainty creeping into her own heart, but she wanted to offer them hope. Maybe we can explore other journals and reflect together, she proposed tentatively, her voice steady despite the inner turmoil rippling beneath the surface. We must confront our fears to see what potential lies within. The moment hung precious and precarious. Jake's expression flickered from defiance to contemplation, and Clara held her breath, praying for the revelation to tip in their favor. Just as she felt the scales of trust beginning to balance, she sensed a deeper challenge lurking on the horizon. They were not merely confronting their father's past, they were also facing their own demons. Are you ready for this? Clara asked, turning the page, ready to unearth what lay beneath the immediate wounds, and yet, a tiny voice whispered in her mind, would unearthing the truth lead to healing or an unraveling of their fragile progress? The answer danced just out of reach, leaving them suspended in a world of uncertainty. Clara moved her finger along the faded ink on the next page, her heart racing as she prepared to read aloud again. She felt a knot tighten in her chest. Each word seemed to carry the gravity of her father's life, demanding introspection from the twins and herself. Each time I failed, I seemed to drift further from my loved ones, she began, her voice barely a whisper, a relentless pursuit that resulted in a deep chasm between us, one I believed was insurmountable. The twins shifted slightly, their focus still split between the past and the present. Tyler blinked slowly, searching for the right words. What does that mean for us? He asked, his brow furrowed as if a puzzle lay before him, begging to be solved. Clara took a deep breath. It means we need to actively recognize our own paths. We can't let ambition dictate who we become, just like he did. We have the power to change our narrative. Jake scoffed, folding his arms tightly across his chest. That's easy for you to say. You're not the one facing the weight of our father's mistakes. It's suffocating. His voice dripped with resentment, emphasizing the walls he had built around himself. Is it suffocating, or is it an opportunity? Clara replied, her frustration sparking fury within her. Your anger is valid, but it shouldn't paralyze you. It can motivate you to forge a different path. Silence enveloped them again. She could feel the tension thickening, each twin wrestling with his own turbulence. Clara yearned for them to reach a moment of understanding, yet doubt trickled in. Was she risking their fragile alliance with her words? "Let us explore further," Tyler interrupted softly, his tone a grounded counterweight to Jake's rising ire. "Maybe if we understand why Dad felt this way, we can figure out how to avoid the same fate." Clara nodded vigorously, hoping Tyler's willingness would catalyze Jake. She flipped the page, revealing another segment. "Here we go. The moments I cherished were not the milestones of success but rather the laughter shared over simple meals, the touch of a hand during hard times, moments I neglected." The confession seemed to strike a chord. Tyler's eyes glistened as if he were beginning to truly engage for the first time. "So he's telling us that," he hesitated, gathering thoughts like scattered leaves, "the time spent together matters more than the achievements?" "Yes," Clara exclaimed, tapping the table lightly. "And perhaps we need to check our own priorities. Is it about wealth and accomplishments, or something more profound, like connection and understanding?" Jake's expression was torn, as if Clara had struck a nerve while simultaneously attempting to heal it. "But it's about survival, isn't it? If you don't strive for success, you end up, like Dad did." The defensive posture he held suggested a reluctance to let go of his narrative. "What if survival could look different?" Clara asked gently, aiming to chip away at his armor. "What if redefining success means letting people in rather than shutting them out?" Renewed tension filled the room, Jake's brows knitted with conflict. Clara noticed the shift. The resistance was softening, yet the scars remained. She understood this moment was pivotal not just for the twins, but also for her own growth in embracing vulnerability. "Your father's insights can't be ignored, but how we interpret them is up to us," she emphasized, sensing that they were on the precipice of something significant. "We can decide to rewrite our inheritance." "I don't know if I can forgive him," Jake muttered, the fight in him dimming, revealing a trace of uncertainty. "Forgiveness is a process and doesn't happen overnight," Clara responded, infused with newfound clarity. "What matters is that we begin to make choices that don't bind us to his legacy." She took a quieter moment to gauge their reactions, anticipation sparking within her as they absorbed the weight of what she proposed. By confronting the narrative, they could either remain shackled to sorrow or dare to cultivate new traditions. Would they dare take the leap with her? "Let us keep going," Tyler said suddenly, a strange resolve edging into his voice. "I feel like there's more we need to uncover." Clara smiled, heart swelling with hope as she opened to the next passage, excited and yet apprehensive. "What about this one? True healing comes from speaking what hurts within, allowing others a glimpse into our world." The air crackled with tension, their fates dangling in the exploration of difficult truths. Would they open up enough to confront the pain, or would the fear of vulnerability prove too daunting? The path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty, but perhaps within that darkness lay the light they desperately sought. Clara felt the weight of her father's words settle heavily in the atmosphere. True healing comes from speaking what hurts within. The phrase echoed in her mind, urging her deeper into exploration, not just for the twins, but for herself as well. Could she speak her own truths? "Do you think our father ever really opened up?" Tyler asked quietly, glancing at Jake. "I mean fully. Or did he hide his pain behind ambition?" The question lingered like smoke, wrapping around Clara's heart. She recalled nights filled with silence when her father seemed more like a distant figure on stage than a parent present in her life. In his pursuit of success, he had neglected the very essence of connection he now urged them to recognize. She felt a swell of empathy for him, yet equally a vibrational echo of anger. How could he have missed it? "Maybe he was afraid," she offered thoughtfully. "Fear keeps people trapped in their own minds and ultimately in their own failures." Jake's gaze sharpened, and in that moment, Clara felt a shift. "So, we just let fear win? That's your plan?" There was a flicker of irritation in his eyes. "No," she countered, a thrill of determination igniting her voice. We face it head-on. We're allowed to take his lessons and shape them into our own. Isn't that what we're already doing? Shape them how? Jake shot back, arms still crossed defensively. You want us to forgive a man we hardly knew? Forgiveness isn't about him. It's about freeing ourselves, she responded, generating a wave of understanding. It's about moving forward without the burden of his mistakes weighing us down. Her conviction resonated, and Tyler's brow relaxed slightly, an opening she desperately needed. What if we start by being honest with each other? He suggested, a tentative step toward something deeper. About our fears, our dreams, what we actually want from each other and from life. Clara nodded. Yes. We need to voice it. It's where healing begins. The idea hung in the air, the prospect of laying bare their vulnerabilities felt both terrifying and exhilarating. Clara had avoided her own truths for too long, but now the urge to uncover them surged within her. What do you want, Jake? She asked, her voice gentle but firm. The question hung palpably, demanding his response. He stammered, and she saw the struggle written all over his face. In that instant, he was not just her brother, but a person teetering on the edge of a revelation. As he searched for words, Clara grappled with her own thoughts. She wanted to uncover motivations, to unveil the hidden parts of herself, to confront the quiet shame that had seeped into her identity over the years. I want to know that I won't be lost like he was, Jake finally admitted, a crack forming in his armor. I don't want to be on a path that leads me to loneliness. But it's hard. It feels like just letting it out means giving in. Letting it out is reclaiming your power, Clara urged subtly. You're not giving in, you're choosing to step forward. You're stronger than you think. Tyler observed silently, and Clara felt the full spectrum of emotions swirling between the three of them: fear, hope, doubt, and the courage to step into the unknown. Let us do it together, step by step, Clara proposed, her own nerves dancing with anticipation. We make the rules this time. We own our story. The tension charged in the room transformed, morphing into a bubble of potential. But buried beneath their emerging hope was a question: could they truly face the past without being consumed by it? Are you ready? She glanced between the twins, her heart pounding as uncertainty lingered. This is about to get real. The moment hung before them, precarious and alive with unspoken possibilities. Clara felt the familiar knot in her stomach but embraced it as a sign of growth. Just then, the door creaked open. Clara turned to see their mother standing there, her expression a blend of confusion and concern. What is going on in here? She asked, stepping into the charged atmosphere. A new layer of complexity unfolded. Would Clara's mother be a barrier to their healing, or an unexpected ally? Clara swallowed hard, realizing the next step wasn't just about confronting their father's legacy, but also grappling with her mother's place in their story. Clara turned to face her mother, the moment stretching into an uncomfortable silence. The air thickened with uncertainty as her mother's eyes darted between Clara and the twins, searching for a foothold in their emotional landscape. Suddenly, a rush of anxiety coursed through Clara. This confrontation could either solidify their resolve or unravel it entirely. What do you mean, what is going on? Jake challenged, his voice laced with irritation as if their mother's presence interrupted a sacred ritual. It struck Clara that Jake might not have truly understood their mother's potential involvement until now. Mom, we were talking about Dad, Clara began carefully, trying to gauge the right words. About facing our past and really opening up. Her mother frowned, confusion turning to apprehension. Is that why you've been so distant lately? Because of your father? The question felt sharp, a stark reminder of the unresolved issues lurking just beneath their family's surface. Clara held her ground, her heart racing. It's because we need to face the truth, his truths, our truths. This isn't just about him anymore. It's about us as a family and finding our own paths. Silence enveloped them once more. Clara sensed her mother struggling with the weight of those words. Would she understand? Could she embrace them, or would she retreat into the familiar role of the caretaker, shielded from the harsher realities of their collective past? I've always tried to keep this family together, her mother finally replied, her voice strained. But if this is about what we've lost, about our pain, I don't know if I can, I don't know if I want to. Clara's chest tightened as a flicker of frustration ignited. We do need to talk about it, though. What good has pretending done? The silence has eaten us alive. Tyler looked between Clara and their mother. But if we're all going to be honest, then everyone needs to be willing to let their guard down. Can we do that? Clara inhaled deeply, feeling the gravity of his words. They could catch fire or fizzle out in hesitation, and every part of her wanted to lean into this moment, not shy away. Mom, I don't want to fight. I want to understand. But you need to share your truth with us too. Their mother remained still, her defenses visibly crumbling as past memories flickered across her face of laughter, pain, nights spent alone while their father chased dreams that left the family behind. Clara felt her own resolve intensify, sensing the raw emotions waiting to be unleashed. I was afraid, her mother finally admitted, her voice poised on the cusp of a breakdown. Afraid of what revealing the truth might do, of losing you all again. Your father had his demons, and I thought if I kept you shielded, maybe you wouldn't bear the burden of my failures too. Clara's heart softened, she felt a rush of understanding wash over her. The realization that their mother had been carrying her own weight, a new dimension of pain revealed. But the conversation was incomplete, she needed to push further. We're already carrying them, Mom. We just haven't been allowed to express them. In this moment, Clara was struck by the significant turning point in their narrative. The tentative resilience between them now held the power to unravel years of misunderstanding and distraction. Yet she was also aware that digging into the truths could bring more heartache than healing. Can we start today? Clara proposed, her voice steadied by resolve. Can we break this silence together? Their mother looked at Jake and Tyler, who shifted uncomfortably yet leaned closer to Clara. It wasn't just about her or any single person anymore, it was a journey that would involve their whole family. All right, their mother whispered, the first cracks of vulnerability showing. Let us try. Clara felt a swell of hope, but beneath that, doubt settled heavy and dark. Could they navigate through their past without getting lost in it? But before she could contemplate further, Tyler interjected, and after we talk, can we address how this impacts what we're doing next? There's more here than just healing, isn't there? This struck Clara as vital, a chance to use their newfound openness to ignite change in their lives. As they shifted the conversation from healing to action, the tension transformed again. Clara felt the electricity of potential flickering in the air. And yet, a looming thought cast a shadow. Would they truly embrace the strength to confront where they were headed next, or would the comfort of silence pull them back? Together, Clara said, her resolve clear. Whatever is next, we face it together. The commitment felt precariously poised between vulnerability and empowerment. As uncertainty continued to weave through their dialogue, Clara couldn't shake the notion that what had started as a moment of bonding could potentially lead to a greater reckoning. Could they handle the truth that lay ahead, and what burdens would it unveil for each of them? Clara's heart raced. This was only the beginning. Clara stood in front of the Winslow family portraits, the once bleak walls of the mansion now glowing with potential. The emotional journey over the past weeks had transformed her, moved from merely a maid to a crucial architect in a healing narrative. The twins had begun to unravel their father's complicated legacy, companions in a process of mutual understanding. It filled Clara with a sense of purpose, propelling her into a new realm of confidence she never thought attainable. Reflecting on her own struggles, she realized how far she had come. No longer defined by her status, but rather by her actions, Clara had proven she was more than the sum of her duties. Now, as she faced the twins together with their mother, a sense of camaraderie settled around them. The walls of resentment began to dissolve as they navigated through the tapestry of shared truths, stitch by emotional stitch, the twins had embraced their father's journals, developing an understanding that emotional wealth often outweighed monetary assets. They confronted their doubts and fears, exchanging heartfelt revelations. For the first time, laughter intertwined with tears in the Winslow home, where silence had long reigned. Each hurdle they faced not only brought them closer to each other but offered Clara a remarkable view into her own aspirations. During one heart-to-heart discussion, Tyler looked at Clara, saying, "I never realized how vital our past memories were until you helped us see their value." His sincerity ignited something within her recognition of her role as a healer. She felt validated, needed not just as a caretaker but as an influencer, a distinction marking her newfound confidence. Jake, who had initially resisted vulnerability, slowly crossed the threshold of change. "You've helped us understand our legacy, Clara. I didn't think I'd ever say this, but you have been an essential part of it," he admitted, his hesitance evaporating as layers of mistrust peeled away. For Clara, this acknowledgement solidified her belief in her own worth. She was no longer confined to the edges of their emotional chaos, she had become a leader in their shared rebirth. A prominent day arrived as the family decided to host a gathering that would celebrate their renewed connection. Clara was entrusted with organizing the event, infusing her creative spirit into every detail, from arranging flowers to preparing a meal that would reflect their past and future. She was no longer simply executing tasks, she was crafting experiences, affirming her ability to achieve autonomy through collaboration. As the evening unfolded, Clara watched as laughter filled the once solemn spaces of the mansion. Their collective harmony was promising a triumphant contrast to the heaviness that had clung to them for too long. Guests began arriving, each participant a testament to their growth not only as individuals but as a family celebrating the steps they had taken together. Yet Clara's greatest triumph did not come from the event's success, but rather a personal moment with Mr. Winslow, as he beamed proudly, taking her aside. "Clara, you have revitalized our family," he said, "your strength has sparked a fire in us." His validation felt like a crown settled upon her head, cementing not just her place within their family but within herself. This newfound confidence liberated Clara. She had conquered not only familial complexities but also her own limitations. Her spirit flourished, and as she surveyed the vibrant interactions before her, she realized she was more than a maid, she was an equal creator of happiness in this redefined family narrative. In those fleeting moments, Clara resolved to chase her dreams beyond the confines of that mansion. She envisioned her own path, a journey marked by purpose, respect, and the unyielding belief that she had the power to carve her place in the world. The once timid maid had evolved into a pivotal force of change, and her heart brimmed with satisfaction at the realization of her journey. And so, with pride swelling within her chest, Clara knew that she had not only transformed the lives of those around her but had achieved personal fulfillment beyond what she had dared to imagine. She stepped forward, ready to embrace each day as an opportunity for growth in all its forms. The air was thick with promise for the future, and with unwavering resolution, she stepped beyond the doors of her past, ready to forge ahead. Now, don't miss your chance to be part of this incredible journey. You need to subscribe now, so you can join us for more exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for personal overcoming tales. Comment your reactions and theories about this story in the comments below. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to support our channel, and every action counts. Don't wait even one more second to share. Your engagement fuels the inspiration for more transformative stories.